Hey, I want to go to my guest, the one and only Kimberly Dvorak, award-winning national security and border security investigative reporter for TV, radio, and the print media. Kimberly, by the way, is the senior foreign policy advisor for the Committee for Responsible Foreign Policy. She's also a TV correspondent, CW6 News San Diego, as well as One American News Network. Her website, The KD Report, and she's streaming live on Facebook. Hello, Kelly. How are you?
How's it going, Chuck?
Fair to partly cloudy today.
Okay.
And I tell you, this next report, drugs, how the cartels knowingly kill thousands of Americans. You know, I had a news item talking about, well, there's so much gun violence now, boy, it's sure breaking out right and left and center and top and bottom, and it's all over the place, and we got to have gun control.
Yeah.
Let me give you some facts here, listener, that Kimberly has filed. According to the Centers for Disease Control, yes, 47,000 estimated. 47,000 people died. Was it from gunshots? No. Opioid overdose, and that was just in 2017. Are we going to ban drugs, Kimberly?
Yeah, no. It's also notable in this that the overdose, the bulk of these people that are overdosing in the country. First of all, it's usually from the Rust Belt, the middle part of the country, Pennsylvania, of course, in there as well. Ohio, Kentucky are like the top two where they're seeing these overdoses. They're calling it opioids, but the majority of these people are actually dying because either the pills, the meth, the heroin, the cocaine, the marijuana that they're buying from the cartels is laced with fentanyl. And fentanyl is a synthetic form of opioid, so you don't need to grow the poppy plants. You just put together these granules, in essence, is all it takes here for people to overdose on it. It's 50 times more powerful to make these drugs more potent. But a lot of people, their body can't handle 50 times more. And the majority of the cases of the younger people that are dying of this, they don't even know they're taking fentanyl because the cartels are not doing that. And so I thought I'd kind of take a little different run at this story. I mean, I've covered the fentanyl issue. I mean, back in 2017, San Diego, they had their biggest bust ever with 100 pounds of fentanyl. But listeners and viewers need to keep in mind here that those people, it's 1 grain of salt they can add to that, and if you're allergic to it, you're dead. That's how little it is. You've got these all kinds of people taking this for different reasons, and a majority of them have no idea. And the fact that we've got this border crisis down along the border, I thought this was a good time to maybe bring this up and discuss it.
And I'll tell you something too, because sometimes things go zip, from the left ear to the right ear, or vice versa. And when you say, yeah, San Diego, and they got 100 pounds of fentanyl, people are going, 100 pounds, my cousin on him weighs 99. But listen, and then you follow up with the fact that it's 1 tiny little gram. Yeah. And who knows how little that weighs. That's a lot, 100 pounds.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of, musicians. I mean, Tom Petty died of a fentanyl overdose. I'm assuming he was, doing some sort of illicit drugs, but they're also making pill forms of Oxycontin. And of course, it's not Oxycontin. And this is not, the pills you buy from the cartels, you're not able to go down to CVS or Rite Aid to pick up. And we've discussed this issue. This is strictly deals with the cartels. So how do the cartels get away with this? Our southern border is open for business. They're bringing as much stuff as they can across the border now. And, you have to think that, we want to have gun regulations and take guns away from Americans when we're doing nothing about the cartels that are provable. We can prove that their product is killing Americans. And apparently we're not so worried about what's going on about that. Sure, there'll be a few numbers and a few people will get out there and cover the story like I do. then the story dies and goes away, because nobody's really interested in it until you get the mainstream media involved and putting the pressure on, until you get Congress and lawmakers involved and putting pressure to do something about this. We're going to continue to see these people overdose, whether they think they're just getting marijuana or they're just getting cocaine or they're just getting, hey, this is an Oxycontin pill and I had surgery a few months ago and I want to keep getting it, but my doctor says no. They have no idea what's in there. And, again, this is also something that's very easy to manufacture, so smaller people can manufacture. It's kind of like a lot of the precursors as meth does. So you're seeing a lot of people inside this country trying to make the synthetic form, and we have India in the business now, and of course the cartels, and then China providing all the chemicals that anybody needs, shipping it to their country without being seized for the most part.
Yeah, I saw a video a couple months ago, pardon me, and it was Mexico cartel, and the reporter, and it was all undercover, and they didn't know they were being, and I don't think they cared whether they were being videotaped or not. In fact, the fact is they did know, because all they were doing was saying, we just want to see, how it's manufactured and who carries it. That's it. We're not, going to reveal who's picking it up or who's giving it to you. But anyway, they're making it, and the reporter said, this is very, very dangerous. I mean, isn't this sort of like playing Russian roulette?
Yep.
And they said, you don't know if one little tiny dose is going to kill you instantly.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I'm making money for the cartel.
Yeah. No, I know. And again, you have to look at, when you look at the cartels, their business, and they're looking for the return on investment here. And this is an awesome return on investment because it's very cheap to make, and the markup value is huge. And just one thing I'd like to point out as well. A lot of states have legalized marijuana. And they thought if they legalized marijuana, that would make the cartels go away, and that they would no longer be, importing their marijuana into the country. Because obviously you just go down in California and go to a pot store and buy what you want. So being the multi-billion-dollar businesses that these cartels are, they just got a little creative and said, okay, we see the markup over here. You guys are paying a whole bunch of money to go down to your local, pot store. So for the people who are on the poor end of the user chain here, they made it a lot more cheaper to buy their marijuana and to actually, go out and tell people, hey, you're going to get a better high with ours, because now we're lacing that marijuana with fentanyl. And now, so you're seeing people die of overdose on this. So the idea that the legalization of marijuana was going to reduce what the cartels were going to bring into this country was a ludicrous argument. And it's just not something that happened. So until we deal with the cartels, by whether it's labeling them a terrorist group or labeling them as transnational terrorist group, whatever you want to call them, until we deal with that and we, go and talk to Mexico, work with them, and say, look, this is a huge issue, and if you don't take care of your problem, we will do it for you. Because to have the increasing number of these people that are dying of overdoses day after day after day, that's where we should be focusing all of our energies. Because people die of gun violence, but the most violent country in the world is just down in Mexico. It's more dangerous to go to Mexico than it is to, say, run around the Middle East for the most part. So that's our neighbor. So why aren't we doing something about that?
And I don't know if it's a lack of authority, law enforcement, but I've also seen reports, Kimberly, and I'm sure you're aware of this, but especially on the West Coast, up in the mountain areas, they have all of these marijuana growers.
Yeah.
Okay. And and it's legalized, so and I think you're only allowed to grow so much or whatever. But then when you got to the bottom line, it was mainly perhaps illegal aliens that were doing all the work.
Yeah.
But it was run by the Mexican cartels. They're the ones that own the marijuana company.
Yeah,
Of course, under an American name, right?
Yeah, and also just, keep in mind with that type of situation and scenario, California is prone to wildfires. Well, some of these wildfires that started there, but this doesn't fit the narrative of mainstream media. It doesn't fit the narrative. I have hundreds of pictures and videos and things that I took when I went into these canyons and took pictures and saw how these people live and what they're using in the middle of national forests. They're using propane gas. They're using, barbecues. These are things that are, if you tip them over in the middle of the night, then you're starting a fire. So these are other unintended consequences here. But for Americans to think that if we legalize all of these drugs, that the cartels are simply going to go away, we're just going through the process of allowing the same cycle to occur over and over and over. And until we want to get to the root cause of this issue, which is the Mexican drug cartels, until we want to get control of that, we will not be solving our overdose problems in this country, because drugs are getting more important or more potent as time and years go by. It's not your mother's oregano, apparently.
When you talk about the root cause, okay, let's take the marijuana leaf. I use that for an example, that nice word. Basically, you got to put the stuff on it. And Mexico is now producing a heck of a lot of fentanyl. But whenever you get to the supplier, it's Mr. China. China, China, China.
Yep.
It's amazing how, and I'll just say it right now, Kimberly, the current administration of the United States of America loves China, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And who do you think, listener, is making 99.8% of the fentanyl? Huh?
China. Exactly. I mean, right now,
bring it into Mexico and say, give it to them, and make sure you send a whole bunch to the United States.
Exactly.
That's our good friends. Yeah.
Exactly.
47,000 overdoses in 1 year.
We call that asymmetrical warfare. That's asymmetrical warfare. That is a calculated, China, it does have all of the components to make the synthetic form of this, and they've got it all there. Their goal is, they know when they get it to the drug cartels in Mexico, they know what's going to happen. They know those drugs are coming up across the border, and they're going to get inside the U.S. market. So China is involved in this. And right now, to think the United States and the Biden administration is contemplating even going to war to protect Ukraine with Russia. So we're going to go, in essence, Biden administration saying, don't worry, Ukraine, we've got your back. We'll go to war with Russia, who, by the way, has a whole bunch of missiles pointed at us that are nuclear, but I digress. We're going to go to war with that. When we've got a war on our southern border, and we've got China providing all of the goods so that war on our southern border can continue. And the country has become so diluted with all of these drugs, and certainly the COVID virus has played a lot more of a role in this, as people aren't going to work every day and they're staying at home, and if you're poor, you don't have any money. I mean, it's just the whole thing that it's been turned up exponentially during the virus that we've had to all go through here in this country. But for the Biden administration to say we're going to potentially go to war with Russia, I think it's a joke, and they probably have about 0% from the American public onto let's jump into another war here, and when we should be focusing on what's going on south of our border.
Let me give you two names here, Biden and Biden. Okay, Fossey, yeah. 3 words he doesn't know, and that is, I don't know. He just seems to know everything. And then only one word for Biden, and that's crisis.
Yeah.
He can't say the word crisis. I guess he did a couple of days ago. And, it's not a crisis to have 47,000 deaths, overdoses in America.
At least.
I mean,
At least. It's at least because
Yeah,
some
and
people
that
don't.
was a
Yeah,
couple
some people
years
don't get. They don't do autopsies on everybody. So if you're a homeless person and they find you dead in the street, they're taking you down, trying to figure out where they're going to bury you. They're not. There's no family coming to collect for you and things like that. That we're aware of. So exactly.
Well, let me tell you something else. In 2017, the border was being protected, I guess, probably better than it ever has been, as far as I know. And here there's 47,000 deaths from the fentanyl being smuggled in.
Yeah.
And now there's no crisis on the border, and the Border Patrol aren't stopping these drug cartels like they were.
Well, yeah.
They're changing diapers.
The thing is exactly, they're doing, the cartels are not dumb. Again, they're multi-billion-dollar a year industries in Mexico, and some of these people are up there on the top 100 most wealthiest people in the world. They're not just going to be quiet and go away. And the way they are actually making their money is off of death, in essence. And they must be laughing because the American lawmakers are doing nothing about this. They want to force the rest of the country that, okay, well, we're going to take this painkiller off the market. I know you weren't abusing it or whatnot, but you know what? Because of the drug cartels, we're just going to take it away for everybody. Well, you know what? That's not the way to solve the problem. It's not going to solve the problem, and clearly it hasn't.
Got to take that break, and Kimberly says in this report, Mexico's government sort of doesn't even see fentanyl as an important issue.
Nope.
Wow. All right, Kimberly Dvorak, it's thekdreport.com. We'll be right back. And go ahead, Kimberly.
Okay. Yeah, I just kind of wrapping this up, I just want to kind of state that obviously there are some things that the United States, I think, can do to kind of better get a hold of the situation. We can pressure China on the production side on their end, and if they refuse to cooperate, we can start adding some of their citizens on something similar to the terror watch list, no-fly list, things of that nature that should slow them down. And also we can do something like shut the border down completely. It's been done before. President Nixon shut the border down completely and said, hey, until you guys help us deal with your drug problem, then we're not going to open the border. And of course, that would cut off goods and services and people crossing back and forth. If we had a secure border, that could be leveraged. And that could in turn, have the Mexican government asking for assistance in rooting out this information. And a former, chief of the DEA, Derek Maltz, says that, we have the capacity to go after these cartels, get them, root them out. Of course, they'll pop back up again, but, with Mexico's help, we can go down and do it. Maybe it's something that we need to start talking about. And when you're looking at all the drugs pouring across and the human trafficking and of kids that are sold into slavery and terrorists and whatnot, one has to simply ask, it doesn't take rocket science to look at this. Who is our enemy? When you look at 47,000 people in 1 year alone being killed, overdosing on these drugs, who's our enemy? The drug cartels or the Middle East? And anybody looking at those numbers would say the drug cartels are our enemy, and it's about time that this country starts dealing with them as such.
Yep, absolutely. And you think about, I guess it was just recently, when they had two of the guys that they managed to stop that were on the terror watch list, and I think they disappeared somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know the rest of the story. You don't hear any more on that. I just
they make them pull those things down because they don't want to scare the American people. I'm here to scare the American people because I think that this is a big issue. This is a big problem. We have so many of our young adults that are addicted to drugs. Well, this is a big reason why, and it's something that can be prevented if the United States government would take a lot more charge here and actually say, you know what, we're going to actually address this issue and we're going to solve this issue. And they'd have the support of the constituents of this country if they were to do something like that. They don't have any support to go to war with Ukraine and China and Russia. They have that support to stop these drugs pouring across the border, securing that border, and start at least pretending like we're a country.
I don't know. It's you kind of wonder if you know, that everyone's been dumbed down, Kimberly, as to like well,
asymmetrical warfare. That's exactly what China wants. You know, that's what China wants. So, and they're doing it.
Yeah, it's like I think I just lost my connection here a little bit.
Yeah.
You there, Kimberly?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Just in time to say, well, thanks again. Yeah, perfect timing there. Yeah. Kimberly Dvorak, and you'll catch this a little bit later on the KD report in its entirety. DVORAK. Thank you. We'll do it again next week.
Thank you.